Alright, so I wanted to record a video giving my thoughts on the Tottenham versus PSG match that happened the other day. Friday? Wednesday? Wednesday? Yeah, in the Super Cup. Um, this is an interesting one because going into this match, I'm a Chelsea fan, so after playing PSG in the final, it was really interesting to see how PSG would come back from. Is what was it an underperformance against Chelsea, or did Chelsea just beat them? All ends up. And again with Tottenham as well, they won the Europa League against a Man United team, and how do we what do we think about that one? I mean, they played Man United in the final and they beat them. So I mean, fair play to them. They won that, and I'm happy enough for them. And I think they made the right decision in going forward with Thomas Frank. Um, so going into this game, I did think that PSG would want to really right the wrongs of that World Club Cup final, because I do believe they wanted to win that. And with Spurs, I kind of I didn't like the fact that they were such big underdogs, you know, and I did think that the way Chelsea beat PSG, I felt like I nearly gave other teams a bit of a blueprint on how to beat them. And I thought Spurs played unbelievably well. Now, as soon as before the match even kicked off, I had a quick look at the team sheets. I'll bring it up now on this. Let's see if I can. Hold on a second. Now, the team sheets, we can see like Richarlison, Kudos, Sarr, Bentancur, Polinia, Spence. That's a decent first 11 for Spurs. And that's a very strong PSG team as well. I think the only changes from the game against Chelsea in the Club final, World Cup Club, whatever, is Donnarumma is now out and soon to be going to a different club, and Chevalier in. Didn't see much of him, but I heard he's supposed to be a brilliant keeper. He looked good in the match. And Pacho was out for the final, and I can't remember the guy that was in. So this is a very, very strong PSG team. Again, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes, probably one of the best left backs in the world. Zaire Emery, I don't think he played the final either against Chelsea. But Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Barcola, a very, very, very strong team. But what gave me a little bit of concern as a neutral was Tottenham's bench, and I felt like as we can see here, they ended up bringing on Tell, Archie Gray, Bergval, Solanke. Tell is still only a kid as well. We'll talk about what happened with Tell, towards the end. I don't agree with it entirely at all. So Tell, Archie Gray, Bergval, I think is only 18, 19. I want to say Archie Gray is the same. Matthias Tell, 18, 19. Solanke, he's a bit older, but I don't think he's fully fit. Johnson, Odobert, very good. Davies, Brandon Austin, Junai, Byfield, and Vuskovic. Vuskovic again is like 18, 19. I feel very disheartened for Spurs because I really believe they could have won this match if they had have made more signings. I think that's what let them down. And I'm thinking, before the game even happened, I was like, the likes of Kudos and that, when we seen like Palmer and Gusto and João Pedro kind of overload that right hand side, even against Nuno Mendes, because in the Club World Cup final, Kvaratskhelia didn't really track back. And at one point, I think it was for the second goal, I'm not sure, Cole Palmer was running and Nuno Mendes on the back foot, and he's like, I can't engage because Gusto is just out wide. So he doesn't know what to do, and he's like, which way do I go? Whichever decision I make is going to be the wrong one. I can't engage him. Palmer runs through. I engage Palmer. He passes to Gusto. And I was just thinking, the likes of Kudos in behind. Kudos is a very strong runner. Now, people are saying, I didn't watch too much of him last year. I know his name. Obviously, he was linked with Chelsea as well. Who isn't? He's a very good player. Such a good player. Such a strong carrier of the ball. And I think one of the most important attributes I felt when Kudos was playing was he gave them such a physical threat as well. There was one stage where he gets the ball, he was getting receiving the ball kind of like in these really tough positions. You know, it could be back to say Nuno Mendes or whatever it was, and there was a 50-50 where the ball was kind of going out of play, and it was a great shoulder charge, and he met Nuno Mendes, and he kind of, you could see him bowling Nuno Mendes out of the way. I'm thinking that's what, you know, Spurs need right now. Just that big physical threat, the ball carrier. He's going to run at you. He's physical. He just has that thing about him, you know, the way he brings the ball up the pitch, the way he plays. I thought he was brilliant. Sarr as well. I wasn't a big fan of Sarr before this. I thought he played brilliant in this game. I thought the midfield played very good. Van de Ven, brilliant. Romero played brilliant. Danso, brilliant. Porro was very good. But I want to give a shout out to Spence. Spence, I thought was... I remember seeing a bit about him last year, and he really is good. He's such a good player. He was so clever. He was winning, you know, tactical fouls on the outside of his box in a matter to release the pressure. Richarlison as well. He played a very good game. Now, we know he's kind of like limited technically for Spurs, you know, but we know he's limited technically for Spurs, Richarlison. But his work rate was unbelievable. It was so good. And I think that's what just helped so much. That work rate off the ball. Spurs wanted to win. That's what it was. There was a moment in the match where Spurs were under a bit of pressure. And one of the PSG players had a shot. And I think it actually hits him in the nuts. And he falls down and he's like... But the first thing he does is he looks up and he sees another PSG... It's the ball is now rebounded to a different PSG player. And there's about to be a second shot coming in. And he's in pain, obviously. And straight away he's like diving towards the attacker. And I'm thinking, that's the difference, isn't it? Like, they want to win this game. Like, they really want to win. PSG, what do we say about them? We do understand that they only come back to training a few days ago, and maybe you could just put it all down to that, you know. The Spurs team had a few preseason games. I think they said PSG. I don't even know if they've played a preseason game yet. I'm not entirely sure, but they looked like they didn't, you know. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Doué, Barcola, to me, they're a phenomenal attack. I love watching them last year, apart from the final, but I love watching them last year. They're so dynamic. The interplay between them, they just look. The touch, everything was off. And then going back to Spurs, when Kudos goes off, when Richarlison goes off, there's obviously a drop in intensity. Say, I'm not going to say quality. There's a drop in intensity. You know, the ball carrying is gone. It's kind of like this. Right, lads, we have to sit in deep now. And I was going to shake my head, thinking like it's going to be a long 15 minutes. But look, you've got a 2-goal lead. It should be enough. But I do understand the PSG reinforcements are coming on. And honestly, it was just a great goal by, oh my god, 1 second, after Lee Kang-in, that's his name, Lee Kang-in. It was a great strike from outside the box, and it kind of just comes, I think, from, again, just the legs going, just when they were so good for the entire match. Spurs was getting out to them, closing down the space, stopping crosses, and they just didn't get out to him quick enough. Ball falls some outside the box, bang, brilliant shot, goal, bottom corner. And I just want to double check as well. When did that goal go in? That was in the 85th minute. So think about that. They were 2-0 up in the 85th minute. Lee Kang-in scores a brilliant strike. And as soon as that strike went in, I was thinking in my head going, how much extra time are these going to play? I was thinking about 6 minutes because a lot of stoppages, you know. I was going to, at one stage, Porro kind of, you know, he played up to a head injury. The ball hit his shoulder. And I'm thinking, just get up, man. You know what I mean? You don't want to waste time here. Like, you've got the upper hand at that point. Just get up. Nothing wrong with me. Go. But he stayed down, and they have to go through the protocol, and that was an extra minute or two. Not saying that cost him a game or anything like that, but it was just like, just get up and play the game, you know? I thought that was a bit of a misplay, you know. But anyway, once that goal went in, and I was thinking, right, there's 5 minutes left. It's 85th minute. There's probably about 6 minutes, I don't know, another 10 minutes. I'm thinking, they've no like kudos in that to relieve the pressure, carry the ball up the pitch, draw a foul. I'm going, this is just going to be dig in deep for the next 10 plus minutes. And I was like, they might be able to, because a lot of their big attackers are either not playing well, have been subbed off. But it just didn't go like that, you know. And as we said, but the first PSG goal, just the legs kind of went, just not getting out to him just quick enough. And then for the second goal, I think it was the same. Spence was just a fraction away. Can't remember who crossed the ball in, and the second goal goes in. And once the goal goes in, I was thinking I could feel it myself going, wow, that's unbelievably tough to take, especially Tottenham. They're after winning the Europa League. This is a great opportunity to win the Super Cup. No one gives you a chance. You're playing this PSG team. You're playing them off the park for like 70 plus minutes. And just the wheels start to fall. I'm thinking, just hold on. You know what I mean? Just show your grit, determination. And they just didn't have enough. Very promising signs from Tottenham, I have to say. PSG, I think it was just a blip. You know, they definitely underperformed. They got the job done. Unbelievable goal by Lee Kang-in. I believe I'm saying his name properly. Great goal. Without that goal, it doesn't spur them into action, I don't think. Pardon the pun, saying Spurs. But yeah, very disappointing for Spurs. But I suppose when we look at the positives, you say, look, they did look a lot better. They defended well. They attacked well. They were brave on the ball. Kudos going forward, holding up the ball. Richarlison put in a great shift as well. There was definitely a drop off in intensity though from the bench. They need reinforcements going into the season, I believe. They really do, you know. Especially if they're going to be playing obviously the Premier League. They're playing Champions League, cups as well. This squad looks okay, but the injuries, you can't afford more injuries. You know, they have a good squad there, but it's going to be stretched way too thin. You know, they need a few more signings to bolster that squad for the upcoming season. And just to touch on, I think the penalties weren't the best from either team. But for some reason, I've seen the likes of Tell getting abused. I don't understand that, you know. I really don't understand that. Well, we kind of, I think, maybe know why, but it doesn't make any sense. He's only a kid, you know. I'll never understand that, you know. I think we kind of forget the age of some of these young lads. Like, I look and think of what I was like at that age, you know what I mean? You are just a child, and to get both racially abused, and it's just, it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. I think he's got a lot of work to do, you know, because he's only a kid and there's a lot of expectation and coming from Bayern Munich and, you know, all this stuff. But I think if there's anyone who can help him, it's Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank, you know, helping develop this young player would be brilliant. And I think we're all on the same page with this stuff. It's absolute nonsense. Again, it's a game of sport. You know what I mean? You go out there, you play, and I mean it should just stay on the pitch. But obviously it doesn't. It spills out, and it's, you know, people get emotional, all that sort of crack. So that was just my thoughts on the game. No one is to blame for the loss. I genuinely believe what cost Tottenham the match is no individual player. It was the lack of options off the bench. I think they lost that match because they weren't proactive in the window. And I'm not saying go out and buy a whole new squad, but again, people kind of said if they brought, Eze off the bench or Morgan Gibbs White or, something like that. The Morgan Gibbs White thing was a good few weeks ago now. So you had other chances to, you know. I think even a commentator said that Levy wasn't even at the match, the Super Cup. I didn't really understand that too much. I'm not sure if that's true. That's what I believe he said, and I was thinking, okay. But yeah, I feel so sorry for Spurs. But it's just when you're playing teams like PSG, yeah, you have to finish them, man. Or shut up shop. But they'll have a good season. I think once there's no key injuries, they'll have a good season. And PSG or PSG, they'll obviously get stronger. And I hope Chelsea meet them again. And I think there could be a nice little rivalry brewing there, for later on down the road. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the match. I'll talk to you soon.